Hello again, class. It's Mrs. Poffenberger, and we're going to continue on with our lesson on why is biology important. And this is part 2. Okay, so we're going to get started here on question number 6. So do you want to live on a planet that has beautiful coral reefs, rainforests, beaches, etc.? I definitely do. So if you're answering yes to that question, you need to have a very good understanding of biology. Climate change has affected our coral reefs and damaged them severely. We have already lost about 1/5 of our coral reefs, and coral reefs have the most biodiversity in the world. So there's so many different organisms that live in coral reefs. And it's estimated that another 35% of those coral reefs could be lost within the next 10 to 40 years. And the reason for that is because the increase in the ocean temperature, just a slight increase in it, really affects the coral. Coral have a symbiotic relationship with algae, and that algae will die when the temperature gets too hot. And that's happening in a lot of our coral reefs. The coral reefs become what is called bleached, where the algae die and the coral just turns white and basically looks dead. And then other organisms suffer immensely from that. In terms of beaches, a lot of our beaches are at risk of basically not existing anymore because of sea level rise. So sea level rise can cause the sea level to come up. It's going to then destroy our beaches. It's going to cause the coastline to shrink. And that will also displace a lot of people, which means that a lot of people that live along the shore, which is a huge amount of people, are then going to have to relocate to other areas. So they could end up relocating, for instance, to Mercersburg, and then that would increase our population size. Number 7, do you want to live on a planet where you can hunt and fish? So this is definitely important to a lot of people. And if you want to live on a planet where you can hunt and fish, you need to have a very strong understanding of biology, because you need to have a strong understanding of conservation of natural resources and how organisms interact with each other in their environment. Do you want to live in an area that has less ticks, so Lyme, which cause Lyme disease, and less invasive species like stink bugs, Japanese beetles, and those little sweat bees that have been all around this summer? If so, you need to have a very good understanding of biology. So again, ecology is a section of biology that deals with the interactions between organisms in their environment. So because our climate is changing and our global temperature is rising, that means more ticks make it through the winter because not as many get killed off. And if we have more ticks, then we're just going to have more incidents of Lyme's disease. And we also have more invasive species brought here by humans or on other animals. And then they really, wherever they're brought to, like a Japanese beetle doesn't really have many predators here, so they thrive and they sort of get out of control. And number 9, do you want to help solve our problems? Or do you just want to throw your hat in the ring and say it's too late? So many of the world's problems that we're dealing with right now involve biology. So big one, climate change, the increase in global temperature, how that's affecting our shorelines, the ocean, and just our temperature in general, making more hurricanes and forest fires and other natural disasters. We really need to work together to solve that problem. Infectious diseases. So that's a big one right now with the coronavirus. So we need to be able to understand biology so we can make a vaccine that works, so that we can prevent spread of the virus, so that we can trace how the virus is spread. All of that knowledge of understanding the virus comes from biology, and we're learning every day with the coronavirus because it's brand new. Preventable diseases, so things like heart disease, diabetes. We need to again have a good understanding of that in order, or a good understanding of biology in order to prevent those diseases. And depletion of natural resources, oil, coal, water, all of the natural resources that we cannot replace. We need to come up with better solutions so that we don't destroy our planet. Number 10, do you want to have easy access to food and be able to eat 3 meals a day? So in other words, do you want to not be hungry, not have a food shortage? If so, you need to understand biology. So again, climate change can greatly affect our crops. So right now in Mercersburg and Franklin County, we haven't gotten a huge amount of rain this summer. So there are some areas where the corn is not looking very good. And that's because we're having a little bit of a drought type period. So that can greatly affect food availability. Again, depletion of natural resources, animal and plant breeding. So being able to breed animals and plants to get animals and plants with the most desirable traits. Genetic engineering, to engineer different organisms, again, to produce food that is the most nutritious, that will grow in more of a drought type area, that will be resistant to pests, all those sorts of things. And then integrated pest management. So coming up with plans to manage our pests without using pesticides and putting dangerous chemicals into our environment. Number 11, do you want to be protected from infectious diseases? Do you want to get treatment, be able to get treatment for infectious diseases? If so, you need to understand biology, and you need to make sure that everyone else in the world understands biology. So they're doing research to develop these things. So things like vaccines that prevent viral infections, antibiotics which treat bacterial infections, and antivirals which treat viral infections. So basically, biology is literally everywhere. It deals with living things from you and me to the bacteria cell that's on your skin, to non-living things like viruses and how they affect living things. So biology is everywhere. You see it when you look in the mirror. The lunch that you ate was influenced by biology in many ways. So the food that was grown was influenced by biology. The animal and plant breeders that developed the animal or plant that you're eating for lunch, they did that through biology. Food companies all the time add things to our food to make you want to eat more. And they do that because they have a very good understanding of biology, how different things affect our appetite and our biology. So for instance, they add salt to soda to make you more thirsty. That's going to make you drink more soda. There's no reason for salt to be in soda except to make you more thirsty, to be like, hey, I want another soda. And any vitamins or medications that you currently take, they are due to our understanding of biology. I also hear this question or statement a lot. I will never use biology in my career or job. Are you sure? Yes, I'm definitely sure that you will use biology at some time in your job, pretty much every day. Because science and biology in general are all about problem solving. So anytime that you are problem solving something at your work or your job, you're using biology and science. And we use that in every aspect of our life. If your career deals with anything living, so people, so if it's the medical field, highly involves biology, animals, plants, bacteria, viruses, fungi. If you have any sort of career that's involved with any of that, it is directly involves biology and influenced by biology. If you have a job in which you interact with people, that deals with biology. So understanding human interactions, that deals with psychology and sociology, which are areas of biology. So again, even though you think you're not using it, you definitely will be in your career and job. And on the next couple slides, I just have careers that directly use biology. The ones that I highlighted can be found in Franklin County. Me, biology teacher, right there. Cardiologist, chiropractor, dentist, coroner, nurse, animal trainers, breeders, agronomists, all of those are influenced directly by biology. Farmers, geneticists, surgeons, horticulturalists, genetic counselors, lab technicians, natural resource managers, all use biology. Plant breeder, physician, nurse, park ranger, paramedic, pediatrician, pharmacist, radiologist, all of those again use biology. And then the last page here, surgeons, wildlife biologists, veterinarians, vet assistants, all use biology as well. And a question I always like to pose is, what if scientists or people in the past said, why do I have to learn about biology? So if you're thinking that, what if people in the past had also thought that and said that? Well, then we wouldn't have all of these things. We wouldn't have really good medical care in terms of vaccines, antibiotics, surgeries, different therapies for conditions. We wouldn't have vision care, glasses and contacts, treatments for eye disorders, dental care. We wouldn't have high-yield crops like corn. We wouldn't have livestock and pets that are bred for certain traits. So if you have a purebred dog like a golden retriever, we wouldn't have those if people said, I really don't care about biology, because they were created through breeding. We wouldn't have genetic testing to see if you have a risk for passing on certain diseases to your children. We wouldn't have DNA fingerprinting to catch criminals. So lots of different things that we would not have. And the list continues. If people said that they didn't want to learn about biology, we wouldn't have safe drinking water. We'd be getting a lot of diseases from the water that we drank. We wouldn't have saved a lot of species from extinction through conservation efforts. For couples that are having problems conceiving children, we would not have the option of in vitro fertilization. And we wouldn't have stem cell research, which is being used to find treatments and cures for various disorders. And we really need to understand that even though we know so much about science and biology, there's so much more to learn. And we've seen that with the coronavirus. Since it's a new virus, we don't really know a lot about it, but we can use what we've learned in the past about other viruses to help us try to figure out what is going on with it. And we always need to learn and grow. And one good example of this can be seen in the 1950s. Doctors used to advertise for cigarette companies. So doctors actually used to say that smoking was good for you. So again, the more educated we become, the less you have to rely on information other people are feeding you. So this gives you choices. So you would like to believe your doctor all the time, but again, in the 1950s, doctors were paid by cigarette companies to basically tell their patients that smoking was good. So we always need to make sure we have as much knowledge as we can so we can make the best choices and make the most informed decisions. And to conclude this lesson, make sure that we always know that knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the more powerful you are. Your knowledge, the information that you know and understand can never be taken away from you. And that is very, very powerful. So the more you know, the better off you will be. Thanks for listening. Have a great one. We'll see you later.